I am Diane Lucas, and welcome to Movie 101. Movie 101 is created to empower movies itself. And today, of course, my partner in crime, Miss Safa Bernal.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? I hope you are having a fantastic day, night, evening, morning, whenever you are listening or watching us on YouTube. Yes, you can even see our faces. It's so exciting to be here today and talk about some incredible movies.
Incredible movies, people. We want to apologize last time because we cut out because of technicalities. But we want to wrap up Shawshank Redemption, one of the best movie of all time.
It really is. Shawshank Redemption is one of those movies where I don't think they'll ever be able to redo it in a way that's better than what they've already done. I think it's one of those classic films that although we want to see it revived for future generations, it stands. You know, it just stands so firm and it stands so tall on its own. It's just an incredible watch.
Incredible, highly recommended, people. So please do watch it by Frank Darabont. So, Miss Bernal, what will be our topic for today?
So today we are going with one of my favorite movies. It was released in the year 2000, making it 24 years old, and now I feel old. But
Cheers for that.
yeah. There we go.
Salute.
This is water, by the way. Not sponsored, but really good.
Yeah, I hope they make sponsored.
President's Choice. We are going with the 2000. It won 5 Oscars. It is an incredible sword and sandal picture. Russell Crowe starring in Gladiator. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I love Gladiator. I guess what it meant to me at the time in 2000, because, I was a kid, watching this movie. I'm like, whoa, Ridley Scott, whoa. I had seen Blade Runner. My English teacher, he brought in a copy of Blade Runner for us to watch. And after that, I was like, I need to see everything that Ridley Scott has ever done. And then Gladiator came out. And it blew my mind.
Definitely.
It really did.
Gladiator makes part in the 2000 era, right, Miss Bernal?
Yeah. Yeah, it was released in 2000. So
do you think this is the trademark of Ridley Scott?
Oh, that's tough. I would love it to be. Between Gladiator and Kingdom of Heaven, and then later on with Robin Hood, doing this sort of kind of historical flavor films has been really fun to watch, to see, and watch him go forth and produce. I think this is going to be one that people really remember. This and Blade Runner. I think Blade Runner potentially will be known for how many edits they did of the final movie. There was that question of satisfaction in the final cut that we have with Blade Runner until he finally came out with the definitive thing, which I understand. It was his first feature film. He had done commercials before then. That's how he sort of, cut his teeth in the film industry. He worked on a whole bunch of commercials. And that was one thing too, when I was going through film school. It was like, you know what? Yeah, cut your teeth on commercials, on music videos, on these short form things, because it's oftentimes really difficult, as we've seen now more than ever. This is back in the early 2000s, but I think it stands even more now. You only have a very few seconds to grip people and then hold their attention. And so if you can learn how to grip their attention in a few seconds, then you can learn how to grip people for an entire film.
For sure.
I was in England in 2009. I had just finished a medical mission for a humanitarian organization that I was a volunteer for. And my mom and my brother and I were all on this mission. And then we ended up in London for a couple of days together as a family. And we went, you know what? We've been, at each other's heels for months, going and doing all these things that are kind of difficult. Let's have a day to ourselves. And so I went to the British Film Institute, basically on the Thames, and I just walked into the building. And they had, silent cinema on one screen, and they had a whole bunch of different things that you could kind of look at. And in the bookshop, they had a book by Ridley Scott about filmmaking. I didn't end up being able to buy it, because coming home, you have everything in your suitcases, oh, what are they going to do? Going to take something out to put something in. But I remember reading about Ridley Scott talking about filmmaking, and specifically about Gladiator, and how Gladiator was his attempt to realize really death, to contextualize death and figure it out. And you've got the famous field of wheat, and how Russell Crowe's kind of his hand was going up against this field of wheat. And there's the anecdotes from the set that wasn't necessarily planned in that way, but they got that shot because Russell Crowe was just kind of standing in the wheat field, and it was as natural for him to do. You get that kind of thing and the different motifs you have, but I remember seeing this part where Ridley Scott was saying that if a film doesn't change you, if it doesn't change who you are from the onset of writing it to the last time you're working on it before it goes out to the world, then you haven't necessarily done it right. And I know I'm paraphrasing, but I really do. That gripped me. That held me for the rest of my life, really. That sentiment that if the project you're working on doesn't somehow change you, it doesn't somehow reveal something you didn't have before, then go back, take another look, dig a little deeper. And so I think for me too, Gladiator was one of those films that was able to hold my attention, but also kind of dip me in the sticks, when it comes to the central theme, without some form of, huge negative, or without some knee-jerk fear, that kind of thing. So I really got to give it to Ridley.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
and I loved, you think all the things that he's done. Everything from producing Thelma and Louise to The Martian, and the whole thing. He's done so many things. It's hard to kind of, say what is his titular film. You think too, you've got House of Gucci, you've got The Last Duel, you've got, again, Robin Hood, American Gangster, Kingdom of Heaven, Black Hawk Down.
Yes.
Which one is it? Is it Alien? Is it G.I. Jane? I think they all kind of just show this monumental director and the power of his ability to think.
For sure. So, Miss Bernal, if you compare Ridley Scott to James Cameron.
Ooh. Ooh.
Sorry for you are in a big hot seat.
Okay. So, when I look at that kind of thing, like one director compared to another, I look at how many of their movies I would consistently rewatch. And so one thing that's going to save my backside here is the fact that everybody's different. And if you like watching a movie, that's valid. Go for it. Watch that movie. If you enjoyed a movie that I'm like, not my thing, that's totally fine, because all of us are different. We all have a different taste in books and movies. We have a different taste in fashion. We have a different taste in basically everything in our lives. And that is awesome. Go for it. For me, personally, I have to go with Ridley Scott over James Cameron. James Cameron, incredible director. I loved the work that he did with Mythbusters. I loved the fact that James Cameron has also done incredible things with, going to the bottom of the ocean. I think James Cameron is an incredible human being, and I thoroughly enjoy, watching, the way that he works. If I look at the kinds of movies that both of them have produced, Blade Runner meant a lot to me. Also, even things like the Chanel No. 5 commercial that Ridley Scott did, I still remember it. It's still in my mind. Alien, G.I. Jane, Gladiator, Black Hawk Down, Kingdom of Heaven was an incredible movie. I was just about to enter film school when Kingdom of Heaven came out. And so it was that sort of like it gripped me so hard, just like the whole thing, Liam Neeson and Orlando Bloom kind of going through this, fictionalized version of a sort of alternate history in the Middle East back in the Crusades. I look at Robin Hood and Prometheus. The visuals in Prometheus, oh my gosh.
Amazing.
Exodus, Gods and Kings, The Martian, you've got Alien Covenant, and I look at all of these different movies. I'm really looking forward to taking another look at The Last Duel, House of Gucci, and Napoleon. I have yet to see Napoleon. I'll have to own up on that. I'll have to watch it. But I look at the amount of films that he's done and producing TV shows too. The TV show Numbers was a Ridley Scott production, and that one was the only crime procedural show that I ever, really liked. So, because it was so philosophical, the way that it viewed a lot of things. I just, I'd have to go Ridley. No offense to James Cameron.
Yes.
I absolutely, James Cameron's amazing. I think, but when it comes to films that have really kind of held me firm.
Definitely. Comparing to apples and orange, people, they have different and unique style.
I mean, I did not see James Cameron's Titanic. I didn't see it. I was young enough at the time that it wasn't my thing. Like I remember my older brother and I went to the movie theater when Titanic came out, and it was Titanic or Star Wars: The Phantom Menace.
Yes.
We went and saw Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, obviously, So I just remember like Titanic, a 3-hour movie about people dying in a ship. I'm going to go space, please. I'm just this kid, but no offense.
Yes, no offense,
well
people.
done things. But
yes. We salute both of them. They have their own unique style that people say, oh, outstanding. So, Miss Bernal, in Gladiator, what do you think a special effect that typically created by Ridley Scott?
I think I love the immediacy of his work. I loved with Gladiator how the penchant was to have as many cameras as possible on the actors in a scene, because you're not going to do this scene many times. It is, again, that sense of immediacy, that sense that you're going to put all of these cameras on these actors. So you're not going to have, 20 takes of, okay, we just need to get this angle. Okay, we just need to get that angle. Okay, we just need to get that angle. You're going to do it as quickly as you can, not necessarily budget-wise, but for the performances to look more visceral and more real, because the actors can embody that emotion and they can chase potential, changes in script, or say little improvisations and things like that. And it will all fit. You don't have to worry about continuity as much, in the same way that you would if there was, say, a line improv in something and the director really liked it, and then all of a sudden they had to go back and fill in a bunch of other, other material. And so I love that technique of having more cameras on so you can get as much coverage as possible in a single take. I really like that way of working with actors. As a former actor myself, I'm quite a fan of that. And I know, Clint Eastwood is another one that is a little bit more that way. He basically, there's this anecdote in the industry where he's like, I'm giving you 100% of emotion one time. Get it right. Like, get the shot.
Yes.
Make sure your cameras are rolling. Make sure nothing's wrong, because I'm giving you this once, and a way to not fatigue your actors and things like that, but also allow them to kind of really embody what they're doing. So I really like that. I think when it comes to Gladiator, the way he layered the action, even in the beginning with the battles in Germania, with, the warhounds and the battle and, just the fighting against this other group of people, and the way they spliced in all of those actors and the footage and the actual action to make it seem like this huge, gigantic battle. I really that takes a lot of nuance. And I mean, come on, the tiger was really cool. Once we get into the Colosseum, you've got chariot races, and you've got all of these, different events that would potentially be a bit dangerous. So it's interesting to see how they approached that and how they did all of that work with the actors and with the performers, stunt performers too, and with the animals that they had. I just think all of that was done really well while looking very organic. This is in 2000, so CGI was around. Obviously CGI has been around since, the late 80s, going into the 90s when it was starting to be used even more. Obviously things before that kind of used some computer animation and things, but really we're getting into real CGI that you can look at in a film like that. You're getting into some things, 80s and later. And so it was still doing most of what you could do in camera. Practical effects. Not, we'll fix it in post. Not, well, what we're going to do is we're going to create this, CGI creature, and then the CGI creatures, like, that's really fun. It's really cool to be able to make all of that CGI. That's wonderful. But when you see the practical effect and that is an actual physical thing in that physical space, it's incredible. I think that's what we need to go back to a lot of it, because we've seen the incredible CGI that we've been able to achieve. Dune 2, also most of the Marvel movies that have come out in the last 5 years, the CGI has been incredible. You're seeing the, almost uncanny valley level of effect that we can do with computer animation. And I love computer animation. It's wonderful. But when you're dealing with actors who are physical human beings standing on a set, I would love to see us bonding more with practical effects again, and requiring a little less of our post-production teams when it comes to CGI, and using CGI as the brushstroke that perfects, one or two of the
Definitely.
things.
Very well said, Miss Bernal. But before we go on, we want to shout our listeners in United Kingdom. Thank you, United Kingdom, because in England we got 69% audience share, Scotland at 15, and Wales at 15%. Again, thank you so much, United Kingdom, for supporting this podcast, because this podcast is created to empower movies itself. So, Miss Bernal, do you think Gladiator is a blockbuster?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Oh, such a blockbuster. I think it had the action, it had the betrayal, it had potential for romance. It had the energy and the size. I mean, when you have a bunch of the movie happening in the middle of a Roman Colosseum, there is nothing more blockbustery than that in the ancient world. Like those were the blockbusters of their time. And so when you see something like Gladiator and you see the tension and the high octane kind of battle scenes, I guess it's high lamp oil battle scenes in this case, but um, you see, the gripping tale of two, not brothers, but two people who were, kind of raised, kind of mentored by the same man, and how Maximus did it so well, and then you've got Commodus being just this wicked thing. Oh, it has everything that you'd expect from a blockbuster. It's got the action, it's got the romance, it's got the emotional swell, and it's got the hero sacrifice in the end. Oh,
Yes, definitely. All the elements, people, that you want is in this movie, Gladiator. So, Miss Berna, what do you think, or what is your expectation for the remake of Gladiator?
ooh, well, we are going with the aftermath of the gladiator's death. So obviously Russell Crowe's not going to be in it, as far as I know. Because it's kind of hard to have him be in it when he's dead.
Yes.
Just kind of thinking there. I think that this is supposed to feature a lot of amazing people. And I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited for seeing Denzel Washington and seeing. I think they've got a good cast. I think that they've got to be careful in a way when they approach Gladiator 2, because Gladiator was such a hit, because it was such a sort of pivotal moment in time for a lot of people, myself included. Going back to that place without Russell Crowe is a bit difficult. Now, this is Commodus's nephew's story. So, this is Lucilla's story, played by Connie Nielsen in the original Gladiator. I believe she's coming back. I'm not quite sure because mine can't click on anything.
Yes,
Uh, I'm gonna
definitely. So, do you
grab my
think the
other
success of
mouse.
Gladiator 1 will be more just like Dune 2? And comparing Dune
Ooh.
1 and then Dune 2 is like, ah, people love it, more love it. And comparing like before, like the Mummy 1 and the Mummy 2 sucks, right?
I still find it fun, but it was not as presenceful as the second you add a kid in it. You're like, oh, really? A kid making sandcastles? Okay. Funny how that sandcastle's going to last in Egypt when the water will dry up and the sand will probably just. But when you look on the Mummy, I mean, I love Brendan Fraser in those movies. I think he had a lot of. It looked like he had a lot of fun. It was great to see him back in the day doing action like that. So for that, The Mummy and The Mummy 2 have a fond place in my heart as the kind of thing that you put on when you're like, I don't know what to watch. Let's just watch The Mummy. Like, I'll just put it on the background. We'll do something. We'll read a book. La la la. Let's put on The Mummy. Get Brendan Fraser. You get Rachel Weisz kind of going at it. Like, okay. But Mummy was amazing. Mummy 2. When they put the kid in it, like, I don't think so. But I mean, let's take a look at the cast here. So we've got Paul Mescal as Lucius,
Mm.
and Connie Nielsen is coming back as Lucilla, and we've got Denzel Washington and Pedro Pascal, but we don't have what characters that they're doing on the cast list on IMDb yet. We do have Joseph Quinn as Emperor Caracalla and Derek Jacobi as Gracchus. So it could be, I mean, it looks like it could be pretty interesting. I still have no idea really what it's going to, I just don't know what it's going to turn into. All we have really information wise is that it follows Lucius, the son of Maximus's love Lucilla, after Maximus's death. So is he going to be another almost empire-like figure? Is he going to be I mean, it's Roman politics, so that is likely to be quite controlled in things. I don't know yet what to think. And that's a
Yes.
strange place to be in when it's a Ridley Scott film. I don't know what to think. I mean, Napoleon had all of the visuals. Apparently, again, I have yet to see it, but I've seen people talk about it. Napoleon had all the visuals. I trust the costuming. I trust the visuals. I trust the look and the aesthetics of the films that Ridley Scott does, no matter what time period he's going into, no matter whether or not he's doing anything from cyberpunk to historical fiction. I absolutely trust in his ability to create something that looks astoundingly good. As for the storyline, there is a high bar. The
High bar.
writers will have to impress me quite a bit, and I believe David Scarpa is the one that is doing that manuscript. That's the writer with the credit anyway. So whatever David Scarpa is doing with the writing team and things like that, you're gonna have to impress us.
Yes, for
Otherwise,
sure.
people are just gonna go back to Gladiator and be like, not as good as the original. And that's always the question too. Just from a novelist perspective, writing another book in a series and always worrying that somebody's gonna be like, yeah, but is it Char and Ash though? Like,
Oh,
oh, my
Orgin and
heart.
Gagap. Miss Bernal, let's talk about your Gin and Gagap. Is it coming this year?
It is coming this year. Yeah, I had to pull things back. There were some other business things I needed to get done first, and produce first. But yes, Ginen Gagap, which is the final of the Judge of Mystic Saga quartet, that will be coming in this year. And so it's looking pretty good. I've got some cover art for an alternate cover as well to start showing. So you can follow me at Usurper Kings on social media, or you go to my website, safabrunel.com, and hit up the blog and hit up my Substack, that kind of thing.
Yes.
And follow me for details on the cover reveal. That will be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. As for any details about it, those ones I'm going to
Yes.
have to keep under my hat. Although I'm hoping that it is an explosive way to finish off the Char and Ash, the series that started with Char and Ash. I really hope, I'm crossing my fingers and my toes that everybody likes what I eventually do with the story. And I think that's probably, if that's the way that I'm feeling about a novel series, I'm hoping that that's similar to feelings that Ridley Scott is having as well. One can never tell, but I'm hoping.
Yes, people, let's visit the website of Miss Safa Bernal. It's something else. All the books are there. Charana,
Yeah.
Son of Abel, Usurper King is the poetry book that we talk about many times in a Book 101 review. So please do support Miss Safa Bernal. So, Miss Bernal, last word for Gladiator.
If you have not seen it, if you're like, oh yeah, but that was 24 years ago, why would I watch that movie? Watch it. Watch it. Get some tissues, have some popcorn, whatever beverage of choice you want, and sit there and watch something that is both action oriented and philosophical. I think that's the thing I like the most about some Ridley Scott films, when they are both action and philosophy rolled into one package. I think that it's an excellent way to kind of get into ancient Rome. I love the sensationalism of it, but I also love how it feels like it could have been something that happened. And so Russell Crowe gives an incredible performance. It's just,
Yes. I think he
go
won the
for it.
Oscar, right, for Best Actor.
Yeah, he did. Uh,
One of his best
yeah, one of
performance.
5. So, Gladiator won 5 Oscars.
Oh,
There we go. Yeah. Best Picture, Best Actor in a Leading Role with Russell Crowe. Best Actor in a Supporting Role with Joaquin Phoenix. And Best Director, Ridley Scott. And also it was the nominee for Best Writing with David Franzoni, John Logan, and William Nicholson. So, it did very well. It was also up for Best Cinematography, Costume Design, Film Editing. It swept the board when
for
it
sure
came
they
to
have the
nominations.
pressure of doing the part 2.
Yeah. When you have a movie like Gladiator that is more of a historical fantasy and it won 5 Oscars, it's a risk. Like,
There will be a pressure for sure. So, Miss Bernal, let's do recommend Gladiator, and it's really one of the best movie that you need to watch.
looking forward to it so much.
Yes. So, Miss Bernal, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Have a good day. Thanks, everybody.
Morticon people, see you soon.